Well, good morning, everybody. Hope you are doing well. Hope you enjoyed the weekend, and we're off and running here on Monday morning. Um, I'm going to go ahead and start a science experiment for us here on Monday morning that you'll actually be working on. You'll be looking at it on Friday. But I needed to go ahead and get some things done because it's got several days that it needs to work through before you're able to complete it, and I wanted to get a head start on it. So we're looking right now in your workbooks, your science notebooks, on page 13.4a, and this is the bone decalcification pages 13.4a and b that we're going to be looking at today. And you can see there at the top of the page there's a question. It has to do with chicken bones. What's going to happen with a chicken bone that's set in vinegar, as a control, we're going to have a chicken bone set in water, and we're going to see what happens, what's the difference there. So you are to hypothesize what is going to happen there. So maybe in a second, stop the video or pause the video and think through, what do you think is going to happen to a chicken bone that is in water, and what's going to happen to a chicken bone that has been in vinegar. And then you can see there the tested and recorded. I'll be doing all of that here, and you'll just be able to sort of watch what we're doing. You're obviously welcome to try and replicate this at home and see if your results match mine, and we'll kind of move forward from there. So you can see there we're supposed to get a couple of jars and some tape and some markers. That's so that we can identify which jar is which one has water, which one has vinegar. And then we're supposed to fill one of our jars with vinegar and one with water, and put a chicken bone in it. So we're using drumstick bones. We had dinner the other night, and I grilled out, and we have some nice yummy drumsticks that we have as leftovers. And we ate several of them, and they were good. And so I saved a couple of bones. So I've got two different bones that we're going to be using for our experiment. And what we're going to do is we're going to set them in these two jars. And one is going to have our vinegar, and one is going to have water. Now, the interesting thing, it'll be interesting to see how well this works. All of the vinegar that I was able to find is actually distilled vinegar. So it's distilled with water down to 5% acidity. So I'm not sure if this is actually going to work the way that it's supposed to, because I couldn't find 100% vinegar anywhere. But anyway, I'm going to set the phone down and just kind of go through some of the process of setting all this up. And once we get it set up, we'll sort of start the clock and see where we are 5 days from now. All right, so what we're doing is we're looking to see how these bones might be affected, or one of them anyway, how it might be affected if it's soaked in vinegar versus being soaked in water. And one of the things that we've got to do, we've got to observe these bones to kind of get an idea. Take a look at sort of the coloring of the bones. That's one of the things that we're supposed to do. And then observe, how, I'm trying to break it, kind of like a wishbone, but it's not flexing at all. There's no flex in our first bone. And you can see again color options here, and flexibility as well. Really no flex in that one either. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take these two jars, and chicken guts on my hand. And what we're going to do is we're going to label one of our jars with water and one of them with vinegar. So I'm going to use a smaller one for vinegar, just so that there's less vinegar used in this so that we can use that for other items. So what we'll do is we'll get this and we'll just start pouring the vinegar in and see. Here we go. See, something like that. Is that enough? Might need a tad more. We want to make sure we cover the whole thing. We don't want to put it in there and have it explode out the top. So I think that might cover it once it displaces a little bit of the vinegar. So I'm going to set this one down in, and there we have it. And I'll cap that guy. So our smaller jar, we'll see our ball jar here is going to be our vinegar. I'll be right back. I'm going to fill this one up with water here at the sink, and we'll label these in just a second so we can keep track with them a little bit better. All right, but you can see I've got this one just filled up with regular tap water, and I'm going to put our other bone down inside there. Cap that guy. So then I'm going to label them. Where'd our tape go? Here's our tape. And it tells us that we want jar number 1 to be our water jar. So we'll just put that on the top there, and we'll just say number 1. And we'll do jar number 2 as our vinegar jar. And so what we're going to do, what our experiment says is we sort of looked at these, got an idea of the shape, texture, color, strength of the bone, and we've put them in. It's about 10:15 on Monday morning the 27th. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of let these sit for the next 5 days, and we will pull them out on Friday and see where we land and see if we can see any kind of a difference between the bone that was soaked in water and the bone that was soaked in vinegar. So on there it says to hypothesize a little bit, and it says, what do you think, predict what will happen to the chicken bone in each of the jars after 5 days. So think through, what do you think might happen to the one that is in the water, and what do you think might happen to the one that is in the vinegar. And you can sort of start filling out that chart at the bottom to get an idea. Again, you're gonna have to trust me on the flexibility of the bones. They're pretty inflexible, and the color you can sort of kind of get an idea of what it looked like based on what you saw there. And in just a minute for you, when you play the video again and get to day 5, you can do a comparison. So that's all for now, and we'll see you shortly.